Students, today's our topic is hypothesis testing. So these are steps for hypothesis testing. We will discuss these steps in detail in next slides. First is formulate the hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Hypotheses are always about population parameters, mu, sigma and pi. Example of hypothesis testing. Here is the example. This is we compare mean value mu with the given value 4 point. Either this is less than equal to 4.0 or greater than 4.0. Then first we will discuss one sample t-test. For one sample t-test, degree of freedom is n minus 1. Here example is n minus 1 is 28. Then level of significance here alpha 5%. Then there is given critical value for this. First step is to formulate the hypothesis. Here example is of about proportion. New internet shopping services will be introduced more than 40%. This statement we are to discuss. Null hypothesis, this is less than equal to 40% and alternate this is greater than 40%. So hypothesis can be one-tailed or two-tailed. This is example of two-tailed test. Here alternate hypothesis pi population proportion not equal to 40% or 0.4. It can be less than or it can be greater than. In one-tailed test, it can be either less than or greater than. Then we select appropriate test. There are t-test, z-test, chi-square test, f-test. There are so many tests. Here is example of z-test for population proportion. Z is equal to small p sample proportion minus population proportion. Difference between this divided by standard error or standard deviation. Then we choose level of significance. This is denoted by alpha. This is also known as type 1 error. Type 1 error, this is when null hypothesis is rejected. When it is true, this is alpha. When null hypothesis H0 is not true and we accept it, this is beta. Then we choose level of significance. We choose the value of alpha. There is trade-off relationship between alpha and beta. Power of test denoted by 1 minus beta. Then if this is one-tailed test, then critical region is only at one side. And if there is a two-tailed test, then critical region in both tails. Now steps are how we choose a test. First, we have to collect the data. Then according to our requirements of our research, we choose the test statistic and we calculate it. Here is an example of 30 people and were surveyed and 17 shopped on internet. Then sample proportion is 17 by 30 and its standard error is 0.089. Then we here sample size is 30, so we apply Z statistics and formula for this is sample proportion minus population proportion divided by standard error. So then we find probability value or critical value. We compare this calculated value of Z with the tabulated value either at 5% level of significance or 1% level of significance. If calculated value is less than tabulated value, we accept null hypothesis, or if calculated value is greater than tabulated value, we reject null hypothesis. In softwares, we use p-value. We compare p-value with level of significance alpha. If p is greater than alpha, we accept H0. And we compare these values and we make the conclusions about the hypothesis. And if p is less than alpha, we reject null hypothesis. So here the example for which we have seen in last slides, and we make conclusion about that example. So conclusion reached by the hypothesis must be expressed in terms of a research problem. So in our example, this is whether internet shopping via internet is greater than 0.4. So here we conclude that this is greater than 0.4 as our hypothesis reject the null hypothesis. So we accept alternative hypothesis. So the broad classification of hypothesis testing. There are tests of association, there are tests of differences. There are parametric test and non-parametric test. In parametric test, there is t-test and z-test, and these are further categorized as one sample test, two sample test, or independent sample test. Thank you.